I'm Paco, and you're watching Bad Witch Books. Guys, today we are going over my July wrap-up. It is already July. How the hell are we here? Yes, we are a day late, but we are not commenting on that part. But the fact that July is already over and we're on our last month of summer is freaking wild to me. So let's get to it, shall we? First, we're going to cut to Stats Paco. It's Stats Paco. Hi, better Paco. So, in August, the amount of books I read 9 books. 1,208 pages were read of those pages read. 68 hours and 38 minutes. The average rating was a 4.1. I got 3 books, and 8 of those books were diverse. I started 6 series, love that for me, and 1 reread. So that, I think I had a really good month. I had like 3 5-star reads, which we love to hear from me. Of those books, 6 were audiobooks and 3 were physical. I think all of them were novels. 5 were YA, 4 were adults. And like I said, we did 3 5 stars, 3 4 stars, 2 3.5, 1 3 star, according to my stats. And then genres, 1 was a contemporary. 8 were fantasy. The contemporary was The Poison We Drink is a contemporary fantasy. But yeah, so those are all the books that I read in the month of July. We'll go back to Paco, who's going to actually talk about the books. Thanks, Stats Paco. That was wonderful. Now it is time we get to our books we read. So the first book I finished in the month of July was Drop of Venom. I listened to the audiobook by this. This is by Sanjay Patel. This is a Medusa retelling, but it is inspired by Indian mythology. This follows our main characters, Manisha and Partushya. So Manisha is a Nagi. So she's a serpent woman. She comes from a people of serpent women, and her people are at war with the main kingdom, and so her sisters send her to this temple. Her mother and sisters send her to this temple to live as a priestess where she could be safe, and she's like kind of in hiding there. And then one day, if you know the story of Medusa, something tragic happens, and she is kind of kicked from the temple. At the same time, we meet Pernisha, who's a monster hunter, legendary monster hunter. His family is monster hunters. They have these special abilities that help them kill monsters, but the thing is, when they kill the monsters, they absorb their monsters, like memories and pain, so it is not an easy life, and he is forced to be a monster hunter for the king. He and Manisha meet each other while she's at the temple, and they kind of form an attachment, and a year later on, he is assigned to attack this serpent queen. And things happen. I really enjoyed this. This is, I would say, look at the trigger warnings to this book, because if you know anything about the story of Medusa, you know that it deals with SA and stuff like that. So this book deals heavily with those themes. This is a very violent book, I will admit that. Not that the violence isn't just the violence, especially that our main character does, is not justified. Just warning there, very graphic. But I really enjoyed this. I loved the writing style, and I was really enjoying the feminine rage of this book. I am very excited to continue on with the series. So that was the first book, and I gave this about a 4 stars. Next book I read was a physical book, and I read Dragon Fruit by Monica Lucer. This book follows 2 main characters. It's been a while since I read this, so of course it's going to take me a minute. Hanali and Sam. Hanali is a lady of this court. This is all inspired by Pacific Islander. But Hanali was a lady of the court, but something happened to her and the princess, where they were both put in like a deep sleep, and there was only one cure, and her father stole it from the princess. And so he takes her, so she's been exiled from the kingdom, basically. Years later, she comes back with the only way to save the princess. And then our other main character is Sam, who is the prince, the son of the princess that was put under the same, like, kind of, not curse, because it's like a poison. And he is trying to save his mother because the kingdom is a matriarchy, and he doesn't want to get married to get a new queen. He wants his mother to be queen because his grandma's getting up there in age. So I enjoyed this. This was fun. I gave it a 3.5 stars. This was a really fun beach read, I would say. Like, really easy read. There was no point where I was like, ugh, I have to read this. It was really fun, and I'd hikey check it out. The tattoos magic was cool, and there are sea dragons in here. So, very fun. Next book I have is The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty. This book is 5 stars. I love anything Shannon Chakraborty writes. She's in my top 10 authors. An autobi author for sure. I love the David Pod trilogies. This book is the start of a new series. This follows Amina Al-Sarafi. She is a retired pirate captain. And one day, one of her former deceased crewmates' grandmother finds her and is like, hey, yeah, I found you. My granddaughter, the daughter of one of your crewmates that you may or may not be responsible for his death, is missing, kidnapped. I need your help to save her. So she has to get the gang back together, and they go looking for her. I really enjoyed this. I loved Amina as the main character. It is fun, interesting, and fun to have a book, epic fantasy book with a much older female main character. She's like in her 40s, I think, in this book. But I am very excited to continue on with the series. The characters were great. Their banter was perfect. Like I said, I love her writing style. And these are really great audiobooks. Like, this book is over 500 pages, and it's a very long audiobook, but I was entertained the whole way through. It was very fast-paced. There was no point in where I was feeling like, okay, come on, let's get the story moving. From page 1, I was enthralled. So I really enjoyed this book. So the next book I have here is The Spice Road. This is by Amina Arbenium, I believe. I probably butchered her name. But this is the Fairy Loot edition. This is the start of a new trilogy that is Middle Eastern inspired, Egyptian inspired, desert fantasy. And this follows our main character. Imani. She is a shield, so she is a part of this like secret city, magic city, where in the way the magic system works is they drink a tea, and then at the beginning of the day, and that activates their magic, and then they have to like drink the tea to get their magic every day. But Imani is a metal, like she has the ability to control metal, and she's a shield, so she goes out in the desert and defeats monsters to protect the city. And her brother, like a year before this book starts, her brother went missing, and he is believed to be a traitor. And there is Imani stumbles upon something about her brother that basically suggests he's still alive, and she goes on a mission to find him. I was enjoying this. I gave this like a 3 stars. I did listen to the audiobook of this, and Imani was pissing me off at certain parts. There's a trope I'm getting tired of seeing in romance, especially YA romance fantasy, of a main character twist, or just a twist might be the word. But it's something I'm getting tired of seeing, and it really pissed me off in this. And if a character gets redeemed after what they did in this book, we would have a problem. Because there's a character in here that does something so much that we gotta fight. No way you could redeem yourself to this, to me. But really enjoyed this book. Really enjoyed. It's really strong. I enjoyed this book. I liked it. It was a 3 stars. I will probably continue on with the series just to see what happens. But the magic system was really cool, and there was Jinn, and that's pretty much all I've got to say for this. Okay, the next book I have that I read was The Poison We Drink by Bethany Baptiste. This follows Vanessa Stoneheart, who is a brewer. She's a love brewer, so she brews love potions, and her mother is killed. And she is tasked with able to get revenge on her mother if she does something for like the Grand Witcher of her community, because there's a bill that needs to be passed, and she needs to brew some special love potions. This deals with a lot about grief. This deals a lot about resistance of being oppressed, because in this world, witchers are oppressed, and there are like actively laws that are trying to affect them. And this felt very relevant to today's climate with the world that we live in right now, and I really enjoyed this. I thought this was a wonderful debut. I read this for me and Jen's debut-a-thon. I will link the live down below. It's pretty short, but we did talk about it, and I really enjoyed this. I gave this like a 4.5. This is really good. Excited to see what this writer does. So the next book I read was Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Haro. This was a part of my 12 witchy pick vlogs, which the vlog should have already been out, but I'm fucking up, and the vlog will be out this next Wednesday. It should have been out last Wednesday. Shit happened. Life happens. But this book follows 3 sisters who are involved in a suffragette movement, but also in trying to bring back witchcraft. They are all like they know little spells and stuff, but they're trying to bring back like the big magics. And they, as well as trying to get the vote with the suffragette movement, are being accosted by dark forces. I really enjoyed this this book. This is of another 5 stars, so I had like 3 5-star reads this month. This was number 2. Really enjoyed this. Is my first Alex D. Harlow book. I will be reading more, but I really enjoyed this. The witchcraft, the way the witches were written was really cool, because each sister, you will see this in my vlog. I won't get too much into it actually, so rewind everything I just said. Really enjoyed this. You guys will see this in the vlog that's coming up Wednesday. The next book I read was The Sunbearer Trials. This was a reread by Aidan Thomas. This follows Theo, who is the son of Quetzal, the Dios of birds. He is a jade, so he is like, the gods are classified as either golds with really strong ones. Jades are like dim minor gods if you're like used to Greek mythology. And then there are obsidians. The obsidians have been banished and locked away. And every generation, a Sunbearer trial is commenced, where 10 semidioses, so demigods, are forced to compete in a number of challenges, where the winner then has to sacrifice the loser, the person who serves the lowest points, to revive the sunstones that keep the dark gods locked away. Theo, who is a jade, because usually it is golds that are chosen, is chosen to compete in this year's challenge, to everyone's surprise. And I love this book. This is 5 stars. This was a reread, because I will be rereading Celestial Monsters this month, and I love this. I listened to the audiobook this time to get a different, reflective on it, and I love it. The audiobook was amazing. Theo and Aurelio are like my faves. They are my children. I love Theo with all my heart. The little sass monster he is. I love him. I'm very excited to get to the sequel. But yeah, no, this book was just great. Can't say more. If you know me, you know I love Aidan Thomas as a writer. So the next book I read was The Daughters of Edie Zahar. First, shout out to Christine from Life from My Library, because she got me this for my birthday, so I actually read another birthday gift book. But this is by Hendir Isaben Mari. Butchered her name, I'm sorry. But this book follows 2 women who, Nihol, who's a water weaver, and Georgina, who is a earth weaver. They are both 2 women who live in the society that is inspired by 20th century Egypt, I believe. And they are both weavers, so they have the ability to control elements, like Avatar. And Nali is she's a noblewoman. She's from the rich families, who is forced to marry a man. She does not want to, but he also doesn't want to get married to her because he has a secret lover. Plot twist, it's Georgina. I'm not spoiling it. I think it says it in this description. But while Georgina is a woman from poorer means, they are both involved in the Daughters of Edie Zahar, who are trying to get women's rights. There is also a looming threat of another country, a neighboring country, who wants to wipe out weavers entirely. And I really enjoyed this book. I give it probably a really high 3. It's almost 4, but I think it's going to stay at 3 because it took me a while to get into it. I enjoyed this. I related a little too much to a character's flaws, but the way they described the magic was fun. The women's rights, this is the second suffragette book I read, and again, also very relevant to today's time and date. But I really enjoyed this, and it's like I had a theme with this month of the type of fantasies I was reading. I've been very happy. I love a themed month. So the last book I finished in the month of July, which I'm lying because I finished this today, August 2nd, was Lore of the Wilds by Alia Sabina. I am butchering names this night. But this book follows Lore, who is a human living in a world full of fae, where she is like, her village is the only humans around. They're supposedly from another world. And one day Lore is taken from her village by the fae royal court and is like, hey, we can't enter this library. It is barred from us from entering it. It was a enchantment was put on it. We need you to go in there and clean it up, and we're looking for like special things. She does it, and she finds this book, and shit happens. That's all I really want to say going into it. I would say try not to go too much going into it. I enjoyed this. I'm giving this a 4 stars, but it is a low 4 stars, if that makes sense. Like, if I was going to give it a letter grade, this is like 1 point away from a B-. I enjoyed it, but I felt like choices were made that I wouldn't have loved, and there's a twist in here that also is a twist early in another book that I just hate. So if you know, you know. But I bet he read this with Helen as well. I haven't had a chance to talk to Helen about it, because like I said, I finished this book today. But that is what I read in August. No, that's what I read in July. We are in August. What did you guys read? What was your favorite? I think it is a tie, of course, between my 3 5-stars, which was The Adventures of Mina Sarafi, Once and Future Witches, and of course my Rurita Sunbearer. But let me know what you, like I said, let me know what you guys read. Like, comment down below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!